Welcome back to Anchor Strength. I'm Natalia, and today I have once again my beautiful friend Natalia, and we have some amazing things that we want to share. And I'm excited to have you again.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank you for having me.
So today we are going to talk about a topic that I don't think a lot of people talk about because
I've actually never seen it before.
I think there's a lot of shame that can be attached to it, and it's conviction.
Yeah.
Conviction. I think number one, understanding the difference between conviction and condemnation.
Yeah.
And like, how does it feel to feel convicted?
Yeah.
And like, how do you respond to it? And I think every conviction calls for a different response, but we'll share some moments and some wonderful things that we've experienced with the Holy Spirit.
2024 for me was a full year of a conviction. Like no one had to point like you said, conviction is very different than condemnation, right? Like when someone's like, well, Natalia, you're not doing this right. That would bring up a whole wall, like a defense. And I'll be like, no, but, and not at all. I would not feel convicted. I would not feel the desire to change. I will not work on myself. I just felt accused. I felt shamed.
Okay, so maybe we do like a condemnation is what you described.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Like,
yeah, condemnation is what I'm describing. Like, so if someone ever came to me, and even though they were probably right, saying, well, you're doing this wrong, it didn't convict me. It created this guilt and shame. But 2024, when I went into my secret place with God, I had no one saying, you need to change this, you need to adjust this, you need to stop doing this, you need to start doing this. It was me and the Holy Spirit, and that list was almost endless. Yeah. He was working on me in a way that there was no shame, there was no embarrassment, there was no guilt. There was a little bit of frustration. If we're gonna talk with no filter, there was a frustration in my part that I was like, why did I let 38 years go by?
Yeah.
So there was that, and the Holy Spirit was like, don't focus on that, you know? But
do you think that is how like the enemy would try to crack and come in with like the guilt and being like, oh, what, you waited 38 years, now you want to do this? That's the condemnation from the other side, which is associated with shame, with this heavy feeling of like, maybe you're not good enough, maybe you're not, because the condemnation is always makes you feel bad. I feel like conviction is pointing you to the looking forward.
You're excited to change.
And being like, hey, moving forward, this is where we have to go. Versus condemnation is like making you stay stuck in something that happened in the past as if you could never change, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me more about this closet experience.
This, one of the 2024, I felt God calling me to a secret place, and the end of 23, I archived, deactivated my social media, and I was like, I don't want the outside noise, I don't want to share this journey, I don't want to talk, I don't want to see. And in all of 2024, I had this actual secret place with the Lord. I had my little closet where I would go in and I would just be me and the Lord, and I learned how to sit there in silence. And one of the first things I felt that I needed to do is, I've always been very busy in terms of, I love feeling the importance of being needed by others. Like, oh, she's a leader and she's a CEO and she's the founder and president of a nonprofit organization and going to Africa, going to Brazil, doing this, doing that. The Holy Spirit says, you need to stop. You need to go back into your home and you need to take care of your family. Yeah. You need to take care of your children, better care of your husband. You need to take better care of your house. Let go of the house cleaner that you have once a week, and stop with the door dashing and go cook and go clean yourself.
And like actually take care of your family yourself. Not
Exactly.
Just paying for someone to take
like
care of your
I would pay for everything.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but that was a moment that I needed with the Lord, and it was an altar of worship. I needed to learn to worship God and those things that I was neglecting. There's nothing, and this is where people need to understand, there's nothing wrong with hiring a house cleaner. I want one, I need one. There's nothing wrong with door dashing, but this was something that the Lord needed to work on me.
But I think sometimes it's like the business, you start like, your family's your biggest ministry, right?
Yes.
So
your
if
first and biggest ministry.
Outsourcing as your main way of taking care of your family, I think that's where it becomes a problem. So some things are not necessarily sin, but when you becomes the main way of doing it, that's when it becomes a problem. So I think what you're describing, that's what I think about. It's like if you DoorDash one evening because you guys just want to eat something.
One thing.
That's one thing, but that's like you neglecting by not taking care of
the family. But there was a whole thing of stewardship attached to that, because I would then do groceries and I wouldn't cook that food.
Oh my God, I've done that so much.
And that would go bad, and I would have to throw that out.
Yep. I've done that.
And it's not like, so there was just like bad stewardship. You're not sitting at the table to have a meal with your family. Everyone's doing their own thing. It was bad stewardship in a moment that I needed to realign who God called me to be. And that's funny, because my husband didn't point this out. My children didn't point this out. It was just the Holy Spirit.
Because it became the new normal for everyone, of like, you just being like, the kids are not as little anymore.
Yeah.
They have their own friends and they have their own activities because they're teenagers. Like, and it's like, for them, it's like they're just busy, and then your husband is busy, and then it's like, oh, this is just the new normal with this age of everyone, right? Because they're not as dependent on you as kids.
Yeah.
But I've done the same thing living by myself, where I would be working so much where I'm like, I'm doing groceries, I'm spending the money with the groceries, but I'm so tired when I'm getting home that I don't want to cook. I'm just so tired where I'm like, I'm just going to order food. So now the food goes bad, and it's like, you're spending the money twice. Yes. So that's poor stewardship right there. But you also, one of the convictions I had was, you're going to end up dying, because now your body is not being taken care of. Where it's like, I got sick years ago, so I think, obviously everybody's different. But for me, it was like, literally like, you need to stop with this, because otherwise you're going to die. I was working like 90 plus hours a week and doing all this stuff. So like, eating is not bad, but when depending on what you're eating and how you're doing it, that's where it becomes a problem. And for me, it was this of just not stewarding my own body, not just the money of the food, but it was like a massive conviction of, now you need to take care of yourself, because if your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, how do you expect to listen to my voice? How do you expect me to be present and to feel my presence when you destroy my temple?
Yeah. Wow.
How did you start to make the changes? Because it's not easy.
No.
And I know you don't like cooking.
No. Confession, I don't like cooking.
She does make really good meals, though.
I started, and like you said, the conviction, when we talked about conviction doesn't come with shame. I didn't feel forced. I felt like, just like, when you need to go to the gym, you feel like you need to take better care of yourself. You
feel like you need it. You wanted it.
I started wanting it. Yeah. And the food didn't start right away. The whole cleaning and organization did. The whole, I stopped bringing in the house cleaner, and I started cleaning my own house. And then I felt the desire to prepare a table for my family. I felt the desire to cook. And it's so funny, because I would always do like the same 3 things. And that's why they were like so happy to have DoorDash. Like, oh no, we just can't keep doing this, the same 3 meals. And believe it or not, as I started being faithful in the little, God started giving me creativity, because it's not something I naturally like. Yes. I don't naturally like it. So the Holy Spirit would give me ideas, and I was like, oh, maybe I can do this. And then the family was like, oh my God, this is so good. Can we have more? And slowly, so it became like the weekends, we still allow ourselves to order out, but like Monday through Thursday at least, we cook. It was always cooking. It was always cooking. And it started slowly. It started with one day and then having leftovers. And then it just like, they didn't want DoorDash anymore. They're like, no, we want, are you cooking? Every day they would ask, they'd text, are you cooking? And I was, yes, I'm cooking. Oh, okay. So I then started adjusting my schedule. So I would work out of the house a lot. I would then take one day a week. It wasn't a fixed day yet. It was like, maybe a Thursday or maybe a Friday or whatever. And I would stay one day a week at home to align my house.
Because you are very busy with like the church and some other stuff on the weekend. So that's why you did during the week. So like that's your Sabbath essentially. Instead of being like on a Saturday or Sunday like most people would do.
Exactly.
But I think it's like, for me, I remember I felt very convicted about the food, but it was also about working a lot and not having a Sabbath. Because I was working so many hours, and like you taking care of so many people, and it's almost like you give yourself almost like too much of importance. You're not that important. I'm sorry, but we're not.
It's true. But you know what? I love that you said that. That is so true.
I think when you're a leader and you actually take the time to teach and to coach people, and you're not just constantly freaking out about having control about everything, you not that important because you made other people important. So like now you're stewarding the people that you have. And you,
that's another episode right there.
But you
investing in stewarding in other people.
But you're mentoring people.
Coming soon.
And I think it's like on my last place, because I worked for a company for a while and I worked in different locations. On the last one, I had more freedom of the work because of my position to actually delegate more than what I had before too. So that helped. But I was still there, present all the time. And then I started feeling convicted that I needed to just like, I didn't take vacation for like 5 years. Yeah. And then I was like, I started traveling again. And I'm like, I love traveling. If you know me, I love traveling. That's my one thing that I love doing. I just like walking around other places. Like I don't have to do anything fancy, but I just like seeing, and I hadn't done that in 5 years. And I think when you don't do the things that you enjoy, you end up starting to resent things. So I started traveling again, and I started being like, you know what, if I'm not there, like things will, like if you have people that you trust and you've trained them and you invested, you will be able to then step away. And I think that that's one part of leadership, that sometimes we think that we're way too important or that we're the only ones that can do a certain way. And sometimes you just need to let people mess up because that's how they learn. So I think the stewardship comes in different versions, and that was something that I was convicted that I just needed to let other people teach them, let them make their mistakes and just be there for them. But I was very convicted about busyness and not taking care of my body. Those are the two main things. And busyness takes so much away from your life, because then you're not as intentional with your time with God. You're not as intentional with your time with your people. And you were the same thing. Maybe that's not how it was worded to you in your conviction, but it comes down to busyness. That's you were so busy with all your projects, with the nonprofit, with the companies. And it's like the door dashing. If you door dashing all the time, you probably need to look at your schedule or Uber Eats, whatever you're using. I'm an Uber Eats kind of person.
Whatever app you use.
But if you're doing that as your main thing, you probably need to look, because you're probably wasting money. I remember, okay, this is going to sound so bad, but literally there was a restaurant that was on the corner of my building, and I would steal Uber Eats versus going down there and getting it. No joke, because I just didn't.
You want to deal with it.
I was so tired, and at one point I had a concussion, and I was just I was working so many hours, and I had a concussion, and it's where I worked, there were so many lights and music all the time, because it was an athletic club, so I'm having headaches for months. I did not want to have to do anything else. I didn't need it. So I'm ordering food all the time. It didn't matter. Even if it was, I could stop by and pick up on my way to home. I would rather just have someone bring it to me. That's just how lazy you become, because it's just you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy. Well, we would love to hear from you and learn where the Holy Spirit has convicted you, or where you feel like maybe it's a conviction and you've been pushing it away. Or share your story, talk to us, make a comment, share this podcast. We would really love to interact and engage with you.
Yes. I don't know what I was supposed to say.